I'll be covering the pre-tender and post-tender process today. सब लोग हिंदी में comfortable हैं? Is there anybody who is not comfortable with Hindi? I'll use Hindi and English both. कोई किसी को कोई issue है तो
about 1/3, about nearly half the course is from nearly half the participants are from south of Bangalore, including 11 or 12 members from GOC workshop in Southern Railway.
Okay.
So I think a little more English and a little less Hindi would be a little
no, so it can be totally English. I'm more comfortable with English. So let's start with this topic. I'll be taking up first of all, I'll divide it into two parts. And Shashwat, thanks for giving me this beautiful session, my favorite session, afternoon session. So I hope nobody sleeps during my session. I'll try to keep it interactive as possible. If there are any doubts, you can right away ask.
I'm sorry, we can't hear you. The audio has gone off again.
Am I audible?
Yeah, now you're audible.
No?
Now you're audible perfectly.
I hope I'm audible now.
Yes, sir.
Shashwat, मुझे co-host बना दे. I'll quickly run through the presentation and then we'll go to the live demonstration part. Just give me a moment.
I also have a presentation, so you can. So if you want, I can also share the presentation.
I'm just running it through. I'm just sharing my screen. So there's some problem with these Apple devices. I hate Apple. I hope my presentation is visible now.
It takes a moment to show up, but it'll come.
There has been some internet connectivity issue in the division office since morning, so.
No, there's been some internet connectivity issue over here as well, in Jamalpur, both at IRIMEE and in the workshop. So your experience is not very new in this context, Aditya. I think everybody is having difficulty with this online class today. I had it in the morning, then Deputy CMM sir had it after that. So,
is the presentation visible to you? No.
Just in 1 second, it'll be visible. It's coming. It takes a moment to come. Last time as well. It took a moment to come.
Okay, till the time it is visible. So before we, I think I'm audible.
Yeah, please.
So before we process any tender, before we outsource any activity, the first thing that is done is assessment of need. Why is the activity to be outsourced? Why is the activity that is being outsourced? उसके बाद this major process involved is called estimation. For capital works, there's a separate process for estimation. There's a very detailed process for revenue related works. Different practices across departments in one division, so there will be different practices across all departments. So I'll be covering more or less the fundamental parts. So, my presentation has not loaded, right?
No, not yet. Yeah, now it's loaded. Okay.
Okay. So this is a little tricky portion, so I'll request the audience, whoever are listening, to please ask as many questions as they can. The objective of today's talk is to give you a clarification on the process. It will not be a technical topic, it will be a general topic. So tendering process kya hai? And I'd request that please do not hesitate. Even if you think your question has no relevance, it is going to have relevance somewhere down the line. You're going to have an issue with that. So I would request you to just ask whatever you want. So I'll just kick off with the presentation. In this slide, I've noted down what are the different stages of a tendering process. Normally, you begin with the proposal stage, which I just talked about. There's an administrative approval, the estimation part. This is going to be today's topic, estimation part. Then there's this finance involvement. It's called vetting. Normally, it's concurrence and vetting. So I'll just run through this in the next slide. I've taken it. So today we are going to cover the estimation part. And estimation is the basic philosophy of what your work is going to be. How effective your tender is going to function is all covered in this estimation part. Estimation के बाद there is this finance vetting. You prepare your tender schedule. Tender schedule में the scope of work, schedule of rates, your penalties. All this is included in the tender part. You do it on the GEM system. You do it on the IRIMEE system. You have to define everything. You have to. The definitions are in the tender part. The basic philosophy behind the definitions is the estimation part. So then you upload it on the, say it's a manual tender box tender, or it's on IRIMEE system of Indian Railways, or it can be on GEM system. I'll cover it for this as in for all of these as a holistic system. So after the tender is uploaded, there's this tender bid opening process, tender committee meetings, LOA is issued, then you ask the person who is awarded the LOA to submit a bid security or a performance guarantee. After that, there's an agreement, that's the binding document on execution. Then the second part of today's lecture is the billing part. In today's time, there's a new system coming up called IRWCMS. Civil engineers have quite effectively implemented it, and most of our works contracts in other departments over Northern Railway, they are on the IRWCMS system. Indian Railway Work Contract Management System. I'll try to give a live demonstration of this, if just a brief of how the system functions if time permits. So then after your work starts functioning effectively, there are these variation and vitiation clauses. You can, the DP extensions, the quantity variations, all these, and then there is a closure of contracts. So I'll start with estimation. So estimation is, it's a big process. Estimation includes, for example, if you have to outsource a new activity, so what all is available in the market and how you are going to proceed with it, that's all covered in estimation. Normally, for a new work, there is no previous rate, but for running contracts or existing works, rates are available. There's this document called USSOR. Civil engineers use it. A lot of people handling tenders must be familiar with the USSOR part. It's the 2012 document that deals with schedule of rates. Chapter wise, for example, if you have to go for a brickwork, brick rate, cement rate, labor rate, everything is documented in the USSOR part. Apart from the USSOR, there's this thing called NS items. It's not non-stock, it's non-schedule. Mostly in our mechanical engineering tenders, we go with this non-schedule activities because the activities that we outsource is, first of all, it's mostly service contracts. Service contracts are not defined in USSOR. USSOR is primarily for works. And then in the non-schedule activities, for example, if somebody has to go for a mechanized coach cleaning contract or a vehicle hiring contract, he'll define, for example, in a mechanized coach cleaning contract, there will be one schedule that deals with cleaning of a coach area. There can be a second schedule if you want that deals with cleaning of difficult areas. There can be a third schedule which can be dealing with say cleaning of toilets, or there can be a fourth schedule that deals with cleaning of AC coaches, fifth schedule that deals with terminal coaches. You can have as many schedules as you want. All these schedules are defined as NS items. If you go on the IRIPS system, Indian Railway e-procurement system, before introduction of GEM, all the tenders were carried out on IRIPS system. Every activity that we defined on a GEM tender document, if you have seen that, is defined as an NS activity, non-schedule. And after I discuss the estimation part, I'll try to rush through this. We'll go to the billing and post-completion processes, what is required, and I'll cover it from a layman's perspective. So in the estimation part, if there are a few terms I want you to know. There's a system called IRPSM. It's on the Indian Railway Civil Engineering portal. All the capital work estimates are uploaded on IRPSM. I hope all of you are aware that our union budget has two parts. One is called capital, the second is called revenue. Is there anybody who's worked in a production unit?
Yes, actually, we have many people from RWF and BLW and CLW. So yes, we have people from.
So like, I hope
Mr.
people are
Ethiraj
aware.
over here is AWM. Mr. Ethiraj, which PU have you worked in, or which PU are you in?
I am in RWF maintenance unit.
RWF maintenance. Okay.
Yeah.
So you must have heard about something known as Pink Book.
Yes.
So the Pink Book is what are am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, but your screen has stopped sharing.
There's some issue with your WebEx system.
Okay. Can I share the screen and then you can have the annotations?
No, I'll share it on the other PC. To start bhi nahi kiya yaar. Let me see if I can share it on the second PC. I'm audible on this, right?
Yeah. Absolutely not an issue.
I'll try sharing the screen again on this. Otherwise, I'll. So I'll just go with the small screen. WebEx पीछे बंद करता हूँ तो it just shuts off. So this pink book part is quite relevant. It deals with the capital projects. The RSP is part of the overall capital part of the revenue budget. So the estimation for a capital project is done differently compared to estimation for a revenue project. Capital is a little detailed. First of all, you'll prepare an abstract estimate for your proposal. The abstract estimate, first of all, gets approved with your proposal justification. After your abstract estimate is approved by the competent authority, it could be at the divisional level, planner coordinator level, it could be at GM's level, it could be at railway board level. Then the work is shortlisted and included in the pink book. The second stage that comes up is the detailed estimate. After you've done with your abstract estimate, you have got your proposal shortlisted, approved, then you go for a detailed estimate. Detailed estimates are vetted. Accounts apna left equal to right, that is the if the items of the estimate are justified or not, they'll check it and they'll vet it. After that, there's a sanction, and after the sanction, you go to the tendering stage. There are sub estimates. For example, you want to make a new washing line or a new workshop section. There will be an engineering estimate, the part that deals with building, door, gate, flooring. The mechanical estimate normally covers the consignee part related to machines or specialized structures. Electrical wiring, load, etc. are covered in this. Then there are these D and G charges that covers your staff cost, ministerial staff, the backbone that you need. And then there is this and then there is this environmental charges and all the charges. Everything is part of the estimate, and you have to make the estimate in a very, very detailed manner. I'll not cover anything more than this regarding capital estimates. I'll take up the shorter route of revenue estimates. So estimation is by far the most important part in your entire outsourcing activity. If you have good solid knowledge of how your budget and estimate works, the work will invariably go through. It's like the role that design plays in a production unit. Your estimate, everything is dependent on your estimate. I told IRPSM is for capital works. This is for rolling stock. This is for M&P procurement, and this is for workshop and PUs, works related to workshops and PUs, number 42. So I'll cover on the revenue part. Your revenue, there is the stage is much simpler. For example, there is a field depot that wants some small work to be done. Revenue, I'll take up a case of a service contract. So the depot will prepare a proposal and get an in principle approval for processing the work from the controlling officer. After the proposal is through, I think I have it on a slide. Just check. Yeah. After the proposal part is through, there will be a administrative approval. Once you get the administrative approval is defined normally as a policy matter. For example, during COVID period, administrative approval for even a case of 5,000 rupees was to be taken from the DRM of a division or a CWM. Otherwise, the branch officers have sufficient power. This is governed by the model SOP. After the administrative approval, there's a process of approximation, which involves taking LARs, last accepted rate, and budgetary estimates. For example, if there's an activity that does not have, you don't have a rate for that and you're not able to get a rate from anywhere, accepted rate is last awarded rate. So you go to the local market and take representative quotes. And normally 3 budgetary quotes are considered sufficient. You can have more than 3 quotes. And then there is a process called AOR, averaging of rates. You go to shop A, for example, that shop gives you a price of 1,000 rupees for activity A. A shop B gives you a price of 1,200 rupees, and shop C gives you a price of 950. So you will take the average of all three rates. Maybe you have an LAR, which is an old LAR. So you will escalate the rates in the old LAR and then take average of rates. Escalation is done using WPI and CPI. After your AOR is ready, you assure that there is a fund availability in that requisite head. This is part of budgeting. You do an analysis of rates. Normally this part is dealt very well by your accounts department, who will not clear your file before 6 months. So once your basic estimation is clear, you'll prepare a tender schedule. A tender schedule has all these items. You can use USSOR. You may not use USSOR. So for civil engineers, USSOR is a mandatory guideline. They don't work outside USSOR. For mechanical engineers, we just normally, in our service contracts, we take up non-schedule items. We define non-schedule items. These non-schedule items are vetted. Normally, this process is done separately by civil and electrical engineers. But because our mechanical contracts, there are normally a contract has say 10 non-schedule items. So we process for the concurrence and vetting together. Then there's the sanction of competent authority, and then tender schedule is prepared. So I'll just quickly wind up on the estimation part. Yep.
Hello.
Yes.
May you please explain the difference between the concurrence and vetting so that everybody can understand?
Okay. I was not expecting this question, so maybe I need to go a little slower. See, concurrence is vetting is if your left is equal to right. I mean, concurrence is logical and vetting is an accounting concept. So in your have a place to write. So in your concurrence, for example, accounts has concurrence is a finance concept. Railway finance has been given an authority to question the executive on the reasonableness of an item. Accounts can ask you questions like, why are you processing the case? How has the work been done before today's day? And can you not do it without this? Can you not process the case in some other way? That is concurrence. So concurrence is a financial authority given to the Railway Finance Department to question the requirement or the to question the justification of a work. For example, if today I want, say, I'm looking after a depot. For example, I'm looking after, say, Jamalpur depot or Jamalpur diesel shed, and I want to build a football field there. So the accounts department has an authority as to why the football field is required, under what head I am processed. See, okay, I'll clarify. Questioning why the football field is required is one part that accounts can question. That is called concurrence. Now, vetting is questioning if you can build the football field in that particular, using your funds in that particular provision of the SOP, and your estimates are correct. Basically, if accounts is questioning, finance is questioning if you want, if why that work has to be done, it is concurrence. And if it is questioning, okay, you have 3 estimates and your LA, the estimate for the given work that you have prepared has a mismatch with your market estimates or your last accepted rates, that part is wetting. I hope I've clarified your question.
Yeah.
The
I'm
logical
sorry,
part
there is
is
one other question in the chat.
yeah.
It says, can we fill amount higher than LAR for estimated value? Mr. Monukumar is asking this question.
Yes, definitely. You need the justification for that. You can do anything. Okay. Can you fill something more than an estimate? See, I told you a concept of called AOR, average of rates. I'll just make that simpler. For example, you have one LAR and you have two budgetary quotes from local market. So, for example, your LAR has an item that has a value of 1000 rupees and your budgetary quote has a value of 2000 rupees. The third budgetary quote has a value of 1200 rupees. When you'll take the average, it will come out to be 4200. You divide it by 3. That will be your item rate. Still, if you have an old LAR and you need to, for example, in one of our cases, we could not find an LAR later than 2012. We just inflation indexed it to 2021 using WPI all commodities, and the estimated rates were higher than the LAR. So that is all part of your estimation process.
Thanks a lot, Adarsh.
I'll cover one more part on power of estimates, like how powerful your estimates are. For this is not going to be something you'll need for your curriculum part. This is going to be something more of a practical thing. This will help you get through your accounts counterparts. I'll touch it if we have time later on into the session. The actual topic that I wanted to cover today is the billing part. Most of the audience that we have here would definitely be concerned with the billing portion, who are in the executing part. So billing in Indian Railways is a very well-defined process. There are differences in different organizations, in different departments, and in different setups. But more or less, billing has 3 important parts. First is the bill preparation stage. Second is test check stage. Third is bill passing stage. If time permits, I'll take you through the IRWCMS system. It will be a good learning experience and it will help me define this in an easier sense. I'll just rush through the presentation. शाश्वत कितने बजे तक टाइम है हमारे पास?
Actually, हम लोग के पास time 4:30 तक है. No issues.
Okay, then we have sufficient time.
We can go on longer, but I think that you are the one who's pressed for time. As far as we are concerned, we have at least an hour.
Okay. So I'll first of all we'll go with the. I hope most of you have seen this measurement book. I love this post lunch session.
Yeah, I think most people have seen the measurement book.
Has anybody seen a measurement book? Okay, I'll broadly touch up with the measurement book.
I got this. Okay, many people are saying yes. Okay. So I'm sorry, there was one more question in the chat, Aditya.
Yeah, please.
Sir, up to what extent from here now we can go for LAR? I mean to say the year. How many years in advance, I think he's asking. Mr. Somasundram is asking.
Okay. So, Mr. Somasundram, I would recommend that the LARs are recent. Sir. Normally, you should not go something beyond 3 or 4 years because after all, the WPI and CPI are ultimately tools for interpolation. there's no definition, but as a working process as well as okay, I'll give you an example. In right now in one of our departments here in mechanical engineering in Ambala division, there's one case that we got vetted in 2016, 15, or maybe 11 or 15, something like that. So it's a 10-year-old estimate. The estimate is for refurbishment and fitment of for conversion of a normal truck into a breakdown truck. So a breakdown truck, I hope everybody knows what a breakdown truck is. So, but somehow that order of the truck got diverted to some other place and we did not get the truck. Now we got the truck in 2022. And we have that vetted estimate for processing that tender case. If you go with the inflation indexing from 2011 to 2022, the rates have almost doubled. Or maybe the rates have gone 2.5 times. But the market rates that we got for that estimate, the work was for 10 lakhs sanctioned vetted estimate of that time, something like 5, 6, 10 years ago. And in today's date, the local vendors who gave the rates at that time are asking for 15 lakhs. So it is 1.5 times. So going for very long durations in estimation is not normally recommended. You will not get a realistic picture of what you want unless and until.
So the problem is that is there any standing letter issued by railway board, sir, regarding this LAR? Because accounts, most of the cases they are objecting for this LAR. If you go for some 2, 3, 4 years, sir.
I could not find it.
There is
in
no
my
letter,
case,
no,
I could not find it.
Yes, sir. The problem is only with accounts people. They are not accepting as the LAR if it is beyond some 2 years or 3 years back.
So that's good. You take budgetary estimates. It's very well written in even in the engineering code. I don't know if what is your organization?
Oh, mechanical, sir. Mechanical workshop.
No, you're working in a workshop.
Yes, sir.
See, these things are normally we don't touch that part. I gave the name of 2 documents in my presentation before.
It's basically for sir, the stores procurement. Last LAR rate 1 year only they're accepting, sir.
No, this is not reasonable. So what you can do is you can go for market estimates.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll go for that.
Yeah, that is a much better option. LAR is something that accounts department presses for. The executive is happy with market estimates,
Okay.
and these are available. Both of these are available on the railway board website.
Okay, sir. Let me check it, sir.
Normally, we do not go through these resources. Accounting procedures are mostly guided by the engineering code.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
It has all the formats that are defined, and apart from the formats, it gives the role of what you call the accounts SO, section officer, or the accounts assistant. Even that is defined in the engineering code. I personally haven't been able to work in a workshop environment, so I haven't had the need to go for the rolling stock code. But this part deals with mostly the workshop manufacturing activities and production activities. So, sorry.
I'm sorry, excuse me, Aditya. Yeah, just 2 points. One is that in addition to these 2 documents, I'd like to add one more for everybody's information, which is the Indian Railway Finance Code, volumes 1 and 2, because those also give some very interesting guidelines to accounts officers about how they should judge estimates and total lives and all of that. So that's one thing. Second thing is that you asked about measurement books, Aditya. So, one participant has mentioned that they do not that they have not seen a measurement book. So I think we can also explain a little from that perspective.
I hope you don't get to see a measurement book. It will be good for you. Not in a serious sense. I mean, you change over to the online billing process, which will do away with the measurement books. So I've just taken this photograph to show what's there on a measurement book. This was a good photograph. I got it from the internet. So this defines the name of the work, the agency, agreement number has year, then there's a date of start, date of end, and then activity wise description. Just keep it for your reference. Description involves the rates, item rates. This is for some work related to lintel. It speaks of record measurement. There are three types of measurements. I'll just take it possibly during the IRWCMS session. Hopefully my internet works today. There is one measurement called record measurement. Second is on account measurement. And there's a third type of measurement called final measurement. If you're dealing with the on account measurement, you don't need to bother much. If you're dealing with a record measurement, then final measurement becomes very important. So I'll try to cover it, though it's not very much relevant. हमारे इंडियन रेलवेज में ऑलमोस्ट हर जगह धक्का चलता है, तो यहाँ भी चल जाएगा. But these are some concepts which will help you if you're familiar with them somewhere in your career. So I'll take it up in the live demonstration part. There's this screenshot of a system called Indian Railway Work Contract Management System, IRWCMS. So IRWCMS has really transformed the domain of works contracts, and they've extended it to service contracts as well. It's on the Indian Railway Civil Engineering portal, the same portal on which the same portal which houses the IRPSM thing, Indian Railway Projects and Sanctions Management System. So then there's this all India government system called Government E-Marketplace. This is normally here we use it for procurement of goods and services. Right now in our division and as well as in the neighboring divisions, this GEM system has replaced the IREPS system in most of the workplaces. The IRWCMS system is an automated system which ports in your LOA, letter of acceptance, from the IREPS system. For GEM, we are using this manual MB right now. The bill processing is totally manual, but in a few years time or in a few months time, there will be an integration between GEM and your railway billing system. And both this manual system as well as the IREPS system, they interact with something which most of you would have heard called IPAS. This is the consolidated billing system used across Indian Railways, and the accounts or finance directorate is the nodal directorate for this IPAS system. I'll just take some time if I'll rush through this. During my presentation, I'll cover the live demonstration. I'll cover this. What is the role of departmental entities? Then I'll cover the role of contractor. I'll just speak about a very basic discrepancy in our working system. Since most of you are not aware of have not worked with types of contracts, so I'll just broadly cover that. For works contracts, there are three types of contracts. Works is primarily dominated by civil engineers in Indian Railways, civil and electrical engineers. So they have something known as normal works, normal and special works. The normal is no longer there now. They have something called as zone works. Then there is special works, and the normal works are called other works. This is a civil engineer's concept. Zone work, I'll just touch upon what zone work is. I hope nobody knows about what zone work is. Is there anybody who knows how a zone work functions?
I don't think many people do.
This is actually something that is beyond the scope of this class. So I'll just touch up with what a zone work is. Normally what we do is, okay, that's fine, please don't write. Normally what we do is that for a given contract, for a given work, we take up, this is part of the estimation part. We take up an activity, for example, it is activity number 1 that has item A, non-schedule item A. There's an activity number 2 that has item B, and item A has a value, say, I can go with XYZ, but that will be complicated. Say item A has a value of 100 rupees. Item B has a value of 50 rupees. There's an activity 3, which is again an item. So activity C, say that is for 1000 rupees. And what we normally do is we prepare an estimate of 100 rupees for A, 50 rupees for B, and 1000 rupees for C. These can be both a combination of scheduled items from USSOR, which is not relevant for mechanical engineers, or these can be for non-scheduled items. So we'll do a total A for 100 plus B for 50 plus C for 1000. This is a normal estimate, and the total value comes for 100 plus 50 plus 1000, which will be 1150. Zone work is a very different concept in the sense that it does not operate on non-schedule items. Zone is a civil engineering concept, and mechanical engineering directorate is trying hard to get a work system similar to zone work for passenger amenity related items, including trimming, carpentry jobs, whatever is there inside the coach, small welding works, brazing works, those specialized painting. We are trying to get a zone like contract for these items. They are in practice for some years now, but zone operates on the USSOR concept. In zone, from the items of USSOR, the executive engineer or the drawing engineer, whatever they call it, what they'll do is they'll say that we have a requirement. Zone is normally required in repair activities, revenue works. This is a revenue work for civil engineering works, including your quarter repairs, building repairs, road work, piping work, gutter sewage work, everything, pathways, everything can be covered under a zone. The only limitation is that you have to define the activities. For example, a zone can have an activity A, activity B, activity C, activity D, say up to whatever amount of activities you want. And then the zone can have an amount. The items of the activities have necessarily have to be taken from USSOR. The last USSOR was updated in 2010 or 12, I don't know. So they take the interpolations, and for all these activities bunched together, there's a corpus that is sanctioned. Now, in the normal contract concept, you have a limitation that A is restricted to 100 rupees, B is restricted to 50 rupees. In a zone concept work, A can have the entire 10,000 rupees, and B can be of zero value. There can be a combination of C and D that is say 500 rupees. But for a zone work, only the activities are listed and the amount is listed and the amount is vetted. There is no concept of concurrence in zone work. and the civil engineer or the field engineer has a freedom to operate whatever amount he wants out of this zone work. So I've just touched the zone work concept broadly. So now let's go back to the billing concept. So what is the role of the department contractor and the bill clerk? In our there's a difference in the way this part is handled in different departments. In most of the mechanical engineering sections that I have seen, the process that we follow is something like this: that contractor raises a bill. The bill is verified by the consignee. For example, somebody has, say, hired a vehicle, a truck. A truck has made 10 trips. Contractor raises a bill for 10 trips. The consignee from his record will verify that yes, 10 trips ho gaye hain and this much kilometers my truck has run. Then there's a concept of measurement book. On the basis of the record, the consignee, in our case the supervisor in charge, fills up the measurement book. Measurement book ke baad there is this concept of test check. Normally, as per the EC engineering code, a test check is the concept of 10% test check, 20% test check, and 100% test check. The consignee who is verifying it is doing a 100% test check of the activity. Then the supervisor, if the test check is done by say JE, if the consignee is a JE, then the SSE, senior section engineer, will do a 20% test check, and the field or assistant engineer will do a 10% test check, and with his test check forward the bill to the division or whatever unit passes the bill. Then there's a billing clerk who will do the other deductions part. This other deductions is important. On the field, there's a limitation on whether work has been done or whether any penalties have been imposed. In your cleaning contracts, there is a method of grading. Used to be a method of grading in which there was a scale from 1 to 9, 0 to 9, and there was a 0% payment for 0 to 7. There was a 50% payment for 8 and 9, or maybe 7 and 8, and there was a 100% payment for 9 and 10. So that part on how much the bill has to be set is done by the consignee. Uske baad there are some legal norms and some guidelines which have to be implemented, which involves EPF, ESIC of the staff, security deposit if there has to be a deduction of a running security from any bill, GST part. All of that is created into a stamp, and they'll put that stamp on the bill and make the deductions and put it up to the bill passing officer who will pass the bill. Bill passing officer, as defined, it's not directly defined, but bill passing officer is somebody who is minimum a senior scale officer, and this derives its authority from the engineering code chapter 11 and 12, where it is written that the executive engineer has to verify and pass the bills. So bill passing officer is normally minimum senior scale officer, and he'll check if the deductions are as per terms and conditions of the laid out in the contracts and within the budgetary provisions. If there has to be an additional budget, that's all responsibility of the bill passing officer. Then you enter the details into the IPAS system. This is again done by the billing clerk. If I don't have much time today, but if I'll get time, I'll show you the interface of IPAS system also. And then there's the role of accounts department who will pass the bill, stop the bill, make corrections, make rejections. I'll just rush through the second part, that is the live demonstration. If there are any questions, please put up.
Participants, are there any other questions, please? If anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask.
Sir,
Yeah, go ahead.
sir, how division is checking whether ESIC has been submitted by the firm is correct or not?
मोनू आपने दुपट्टी रख पे हाथ रख दिया.
You have a
Aditya, I think
Shramik,
Monu is-
you have
Monu,
an
are you from
IR
Northern Railway?
Shramik Kalyan portal for. Huh?
I'm just saying, I think Monu's from Northern Railway. So he's from your railway, Aditya.
Monu, कहाँ से
Yes,
आप?
sir.
I
सर
actually
मैं अभी
faced it.
तुगलकाबाद में एज एसएससी काम कर रहा हूँ. एक महीने पहले ही मेरी पोस्टिंग एज एसएससी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट की गई है.
ठीक है ठीक है. तो
सर
सबसे पहले तो आप
हमारे पास जो
IRWCMS पे जोर रखें.
है वो ईएसआईसी का एक सर के पास बिल लेके आता है और
हाँ जी?
ईएसआईसी
आपकी-
का एक फॉर्मेट करके आता है स्टैंप लगा करके. सर हम
हाँ.
उसको कैसे वेरीफाई करें whether he has really submitted that portion of amount with the ESIC portal or not?
देखो, एक तो ESIC का चालान आता है. नॉर्मली ये लोग क्या करते हैं, जो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स होते हैं, this is how the Northlands nahi, they did a check on some of our contracts. Incidentally, most of our contracts were found.
Aditya sir, your voice is not clear. Actually, your voice is not coming.
Aditya, is your voice? Hello. Aditya, your voice just disappeared. It was very clear until now, and then suddenly it disappeared. Hello. 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 Aditya, your voice was clear and then suddenly it disappeared. I think you can hear me. मेरी आवाज आ रही है, please? Am I audible to you, please?
Little bit audible. Some problem is there, sir.
Yeah, I think okay. He can hear us clearly. I think there is some problem from his end. Okay, no issue, no issue. Please, Aditya, please take your time. Sure. In the meantime, participants, I can tell you about EPF ESIC. How many of you know about, and you are right, Praveen, most of us are facing problem with it. How many of you know about Shramik Kalyan portal? Shramik Kalyan portal के बारे में कितने लोग जानते हैं?
Shashwat, can you hear me on this system?
Yeah, perfectly.
चल ठीक है. Meanwhile, I'll connect that one again. तब तक के लिए we'll carry on this one. Okay, so somebody asked about EPF and ESIC.
Yeah.
So there is a system of generating challans for EPF and ESIC payment. Normally, a contractor say, for example, in TKD shed, Tughlakabad shed, from where there was this last query. So in that shed, he has deployed, say, a manpower of 10 people. what the contractor would do is, that's a normal practice here. He would normally be a big contractor who, with an employment of say 200 people under his company's name, who may not be regular employees but intermittent employees, and no rule stops you from doing that. So he'll give you a challan which covers say 200 people, and he'll ask you to identify that he'll tell you that these 10 people that work for you, Ram, Sham, Ravi, say some lady, Sita, anybody, XYZ, they are listed in this, and this is your ESIC challan. I hope everybody knows about the role of EPF and ESIC. Hello?
Participants, how many of you know about the role of EPF and ESIC?
होता क्या है किसी को मालूम है?
Couple of people are saying yes.
Provident fund and employee state insurance, whatever C is.
Corporation.
So, corporation. And how calculation of EPF ESIC is done. I've been out of touch for around 5-6 months now, but last I checked was that there is this almost 30% payment of your contract value is for EPF ESIC, almost to the tune of 30%. 12% of EPF is paid by is contributed by the employee. 13% is contributed by the employer. Or ESIC में it's 0.75% and 3.25%. So total it is 29%. So there's a system of verifying through challans, and there is this system of IR Shramik Kalyan portal. So both of the systems are not reliable at all. We are facing two issues. One was this vigilance case that we discussed. The vigilance team did a scanner on many of the cases of EPF ESIC issues, and there was an irregularity noticed in one of our cases, and the contractor was asked to pay a penalty for that. It was based on a complaint, and there was an irregularity that the contractor was paying for 26 days time, the salary of an employee for 26 days time, whereas he was liable to pay for 30 days work. And the second case we are facing is a labor commission case wherein one of the employees of one of our contractors, whose payment was stopped due to a CBI inquiry in some division, has raised an issue that the contractor is not paying us our minimum wages. In this case, where the contractor has claimed minimum wages payment from us, he is unable to reproduce exact documentation of the employees that were on roll and the employees that were on record.
Yes, Aditya, you're clear. You're clear.
So the case was that one of the persons, say Mr. Ram Kumar, lodged a case that I am Ram Kumar, son of Sham Kumar, and I haven't received my wage. Now the contractor record that is available in the division. There is a person by name of Ram and there is another person by name of Kumar, but there is no person by the name of Ram Kumar.
Okay.
So this is a big problem and a big fraud going across, and we are in a way very much relieved by the introduction of this outcome-based contracts, because this is a big problem verifying EPF and ESIC details of each of the employees. On the open line, you are so busy attending your trains daily that getting records framed goes back. This process lingers on to the time of bill payment, and it's not practical to verify each and every data. As a practice, what we have done is we take EPF challans with names indicated, and we've done a reverse work that the persons who are faring on the EPF, we want that particular person to be working on our field. Normally, there is one more thing that these contractors do. We had a contractor by the name of Jay Prakash. He's a reputed person here. On his EPF ESIC Chalan, he had and even on the IR Shramik portal, he had got his brothers and his wife and his mother listed as employees, just to save on the EPF and ESIC cost.
Okay.
I consider ESIC, which is a minor amount, say almost I think 100, 150, 200 rupees per employee, as much more important than the EPF. Government ने खूब सारे जनधन accounts खुलवाए. These contractors managed to get a hold of a lot of जनधन accounts. Now, in our railway working, we want the work done. चाहे कोई भी कर जाए. Nobody will bother asking if the employee who is registered as Mr. A is working or not. Mr. A might be on records and Mr. A might not be on field. This is not only for contractual employees, this has been true for departmental employees. In one of our cases, we had an old lady working employed in one of the waiting rooms of one of the stations, big stations of Ambala, and people were happy with her doing the job and she's sitting at home, because that old lady who was maybe 55 years old was not able to do that much of work that son was doing, who was not a railway employee. This proxy thing is going on everywhere, and I cannot find, I think, one contract which does not have a proxy. Sometimes there are people who are employed initially by some good contractor, and those people run away, he employs somebody else, and records are not updated. So EPF ESIC, as a compliance to railway requirements, keeps on getting credited in that person's account, because if EPF ESIC is not paid off by the contractor, we'll hold on the bills for non-payment of EPF ESIC. So this is a very serious problem, and the solution is something which might not be very simple, or which might be very simple and we are not able to do it. Most of you must be aware that most of the contractors who bid for railway contracts have a tendency of bidding at minimum wages price. So how do you expect that person who is giving you material for free on record to give away genuine wages to their employees? Basic ideology is that nobody works for free. Everybody works for some payment or some profit. So your point is valid. You need to ensure payment of EPF ESIC on paper. That is all I can say. Practically, you have a small shed area which might employ say 20-25 workers. That may be reasonable. Or a small washing line, or for say any washing line in the Delhi area which employs 500 workers, you cannot go about verifying. You cannot even verify if the person who is employed is working or not. So that is a big problem of the railway system. You can check bank statement of every worker, but that is not something very easy to do. We tried checking on the bank statements for credit of salaries. The contractor says that I have given off salaries from my bank account. You can have statements for that. But I cannot ask every employee to give me a bank statement. Your biometric attendance, Aadhaar-based attendance, nothing will work here. If somebody has a good solution, implement it and get it implemented across railways. EPF ESIC is something most of the railway systems have failed to implement because of competitive bidding procedure primarily. So I'll just take you across this IRWCMS system just to give a glimpse. We don't have much time. See my screen?
Yes, we can see it at the moment. IRWCMS.
Yeah. So I will just show you the admin part of the system. It will be a introduction experience for many of you. Give me some time. So this is what the IRWCMS system looks like. Are you able to see my screen? Is it updated?
Yes, it's completely visible. No issue.
Has anybody out here worked on IRWCMS system before? किसी को experience है?
No, Aditya, not personally, no. Some other people would have worked on IRWCMS. Many people here are from various parts, so somebody would have worked on IRWCMS. Thank you, Monu. Participants, if anybody has worked with IRWCMS in the past, please write yes in the chat box. Thank you, Amjad. Thank you.
I hope nobody has worked.
No, it doesn't seem so. Nobody has written yes until now. Mr. Somasundran, Mr. Amjad, Mr. Goswami, Mr. Monu, everybody is saying no.
Okay. So we'll just carry on with this IRWCMS thing.
Yeah, we are online.
IRWCMS.
Representing production, Kandasamy is online.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
No, you just said my name, so I just responded. This IRWCMS already I asked for yesterday. So that we will go ahead. But this will be the first occasion.
Right, sir.
I could not hear very clearly. So this is a system that works with, that is integrated with the IREPS system, Indian Railway e-procurement system, on which we used to process our tenders and contracts earlier. So IREPS system issues an auto-generated LOA, letter of acceptance, for the cases that are finalized on IREPS system, the tendering cases. So this is the main screen of the system. You can see the reports. You have this administration profile. I'll just show you a procedure of assignment of activity. So first of all, in this system, there is a system of porting your LOA from IREPS. The letter of acceptance can be ported directly from IREPS system. And once you've ported your letter of acceptance, you assign an activity for every person that is involved in the bill passing, processing and bill passing system. This system deals with execution. It is designed by question है शाश्वत किसी को?
Mr. Somasundram is asking one question. Sir, what is the minimum cost of the proposal in crores for entering into IRWCMS?
Maybe 1 or 2 rupees.
So there is no minimum amount. It has to be minimum half crore or minimum 1 crore. There is no such minimum.
No.
Okay.
We processed a case of say 80,000 rupees.
Acha, only 80,000 rupees and it was still processed on IRWCMS.
Yep.
Okay.
So these are the 3 types of works: special work, zonal work, and other works. Zone has a system of work orders. It's used by civil engineers, जिसके बारे में बताया था. So you can even use the zonal work module for passing your bills here. It's a very flexible module. We normally use this other works module for works. Now this has an option for services also. So for works contracts, I'll just give a filter. I want to search for other works. Then I'll connect with, I had a contract of Cummins engines for one of our diesel sheds. After porting of your LOA, the first thing you do on this one is your agreement generation module. There's an option to assign activity for every person in the line. There's somebody who will enter the PG. After your agreement is, when your LOA gets ported in, first of all, you get your PG verified from a bank. There is a system, it is integrated into the system. Then your agreement is prepared. Shashwat, you can hear me, right?
I'm sorry, I missed you, Aditya. What were you saying?
Everybody can hear me right now, right?
Yeah, everybody can hear you. Everybody can hear you.
Okay. So you prepare the agreement. There's a PG verification thing. The PG goes to the custody of your accounts assistant, whoever is allotted. Then there's an agreement. See, the agreement part is done totally online, and the agreement is forwarded to finance for vetting before it is sent for signing. For example, in this case, this person will accept the PG. Then PG will be forwarded to finance by say I'll forward it to finance, and then agreement will be forwarded to finance by me. I can assign all these activities, whatever the hierarchy in your department. After then agreement will be vetted by the accounts assistant concerned. Then it will be forwarded to the concerned vendor. Say this person will forward it to the vendor, and then there's this vendor who is dealing with. So this is the person from Cummins India who will be signing the agreement, and then there will be a contract signing authority. If it is a contract signing authority is one level lower than the accepting authority. If the accepting authority is ADRM, then it will be senior DME. If it is senior DME, then it can be one level lower. In this case, if the contract accepting authority is ADRM, then maybe senior DME would have signed it. Then the system has a system of measurements. You have to enter your work details. It's actually very complicated for today's lecture. So you have, in revenue there is not much option. So it can be any of these heads. This is a revenue related work for DCheck. So we'll just charge it to revenue and put it there. It will take the allocation in IPAS system when the bill is forwarded to IPAS. Related to measurement part, there are two types of measurements. One is this record measurement, one is account measurement, and both of them have final measurement at the end. Record measurement is done by, say for example, you have a work that has more than one consignees. For example, if a road is being built by say your senior XYZ of Malda division. So that road has 3 or 4 SSEs who have their own records for record. So they just say that the record is entered on page number so and so, and this is a record measurement. On account measurement is what we normally do in mechanical engineering department. That this much activity has been exhausted, and this is the on account measurement. And final measurement is done at the time of passing of last bill, which will have deductions and that your warranty clauses and everything taken into account. So this is engineer's representative is normally called the field engineer or the AEN or the ADME who is there on the field. Engineer is minimum executive engineer who will be the bill passing officer. Then the role of contractor that is defined here. What will be a contractor do? I have an admin account, so I can show everything. After the measurement part, there's this billing part that starts. There's somebody who will prepare a bill. Bill is prepared by the field engineer, the SSE on the field. then that bill is accepted by the contractor. This is all previously been done on measurement book. The measurement book has already been filled up. Then the bill will be processed by engineer's representative, which is the field assistant engineer, and in this case it is IRIMEE Diesel of Kalka. He will pass the bill, he will do his test check, whatever is mandated as per the contract. Then the bill will be processed by the respective engineer, who will be processing it and giving it to the bill babus. Like the technical check is done by the concerned SSC. In this case it is SSC Diesel. Normally we get it done in the division, and the OS will check the other deductions part. GST ठीक है, GST matches with the contract type of deduction. If it is partially eligible, fully eligible, not eligible deduction, कितने % GST है उसके हिसाब से it is there. And then finally the bill will be passed by the engineer and pushed to iPass system. The system has a built-in system for date of completion extension. Date of completion के लिए the contractor, जो हम लोग existing systems will use to take the razamandi of the contractor on a paper that I agree to get it done. In this case, the application will be moved by the contractor that I have so much quantity balance and you are requested to give me a DP extension. Then it will be forwarded by the concerned divisional engineer for examination. The field will work on it and competent authority will give an approval, and then that letter will be signed that this has been done. Variations, you have a quantity variation, the system has a built-in system for that as well. PG release is there after the contract agreement is finalized. I will not touch much because I think people have not worked on the system, but I just wanted to give a brief introduction on how the system works, how the measurement thing works, and this is going to be the future assignment system for Indian Railways. If most of you guys are not available, familiar with the work contract management system, so I think we'll not go ahead with the work contract management system. If there are any questions, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Sir, regarding release of PG, sir. Hello.
Regarding what?
Regarding releasing of PG, sir. Performance guarantee, sir.
How can?
Sir, as per the performance release after based on completion certificate issued by competent authority stating that the contractor has completed the work in all respects satisfactorily, sir. But my question is that, sir, if the work is under warranty period, then it is possible to release the PG, sir.
Okay. If the work is under warranty period, then is it possible to release PG? See, there are two components.
मतलब सर वो उसने काम कंप्लीट कर चुका है सर, लेकिन उसका वर्क अंडर वारंटी है सर, तो पीजी रिलीज हो पाएंगे सर?
That is up to your contract agreement, but there are different rules for PG and SD.
Sir,
normally
GCC, sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
Sir, SD can be released after completion of warranty period, but in case of PG, as per GCC, sir, only after physical completion of work, sir. तो PG partly release कर सकूंगा सर हम लोग सर?
what depends on what type of work is it?
काम हो चुका है
your
सर, ओपीडी
completion
पूरे
will
से 1 साल का लिया सर.
warranty ticket 1 साल का है and the contractor is bound by the agreement to get the thing replaced under warranty, right?
Right sir.
Normally जिस भी काम में हम warranty clause डालते हैं, these are normally those guys which have been approved by railway board for supplying that particular item as specialized works.
Sir.
Okay, so they normally honor their warranty clause. For example,
Sir.
those tenders also, EM part के failures हो रहे थे, they were given full payments on delivery of the material, but they are replacing it under warranty because they'll keep working for railway. So there's a system
Yes, sir.
of approved vendors, otherwise they are blacklisted from future participation. And in case you have a poor tender document that asks you to release the security and performance guarantee before completion of the warranty period, see, you can restrict it in your tender document that say 5% of your payment will be released after completion of the warranty period, or you have to pledge FD till the completion of your warranty period. You can do that. But if according to the GCC, if you are following the GCC, there is, I think, a provision number 56, part 1 or 2, I'm not sure, which says that if you have a failed contractor who is liable to pay you something and who is not honoring the contractual commitment, you can have your recoveries done from elsewhere in the Indian railway system where the contractor is also a supplier or a working contractor.
Sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right. Any further questions, please? Internet बहुत खराब है. विनोद से उसका OTP पूछना. विनोद से OTP. Okay, then I'll take you through the billing module of IPAS if you are interested, or we can close the session, whatever you say. Am I audible? Ashok, close करना है या should we go ahead? In IPAS system, which is used for bill processing. For those who are aware, I'll just take 2 or 3 minutes sharing details of IPAS on how bills are processed on IPAS system. I'll try to cover up capital bills as well. I think I have This is the executive bills module, and I have the dealer's ID logged in. Whatever bills that you process on your iPass system, this is for manual bills. The IRWCMS system automatically sends the bills to the concerned accounts dealer on iPass. For manual entry of bills, you'll first create a bill. There are options for creating bills other than stores. There's this IMMS, that is stores bills. There's an option for GEM bills which are not being processed directly by GEM. GEM system also has an option of sending bills to railway accounts. So, agar time bachta to we can also cover GEM, but I don't think we'll have much time with us. The second half ka session hai, khub time lagta hai isme. So first you'll create a bill. This is for normal contract. You just select your section. In our case, it's expenditure 2. Type of contract. You have an agreement. You have to key in the agreement code. If you don't have an agreement, then you just write none, and you just need to have a sanction number. Type of bill, as I say, contractor bill, impress bill, whatever you want. Then there's a subtype. If it is a running contract, I talked about this on account payment, miscellaneous contract bill, final payment, whatever you want. There are options. This CC running bill, say we have a running bill, on account running bill. It is irrelevant, not much relevance. The type of bill is a GST bill. Others, non-GST, other GST, impress GST. Is it funded by IRFC, Indian Railway Finance Corporation? This is normally for relevant to RSP and other work which get funding from IRFC bonds. Whatever is your accounting unit, in our case it is mechanical general. You select your accounting unit, you give a party name. For example, party by the name of ABC Corporation. So yeah, I have a party by the name of Humans India Limited. Humans India Limited Pune. This has a list of all the items listed for this person. If it has a party account and everything, you just need to select the party. Details will be populated here: invoice number, invoice date, invoice type. After you run this part, you save this, and after saving it, you have to do a bill detail entry. This is what is the most interesting part. For example, in these bills that are listed here, I will take a bill of this is a bill that I had created, this last one, 16. I put in the type of invoice payment, how much % payment has to be done and how much % has to be withheld. That is reflected here. And type of bill invoice amount, I put in 2 lakh rupees, and then I'll save this particular bill. That's the particular bill. I will have an option of have to go to the bill entry detail part and proceed for bill entries. I'll continue. I have an option of forwarding it to the accounts section. Then there will be an option of bill details. Whatever activities you put in, you have to put in the activity code as per GST norms, HSN code or service activity code for whatever GST item you are processing. Then there is this option for entering your TDS and reverse charge. Reverse charge is a different concept. I'll not discuss it now. Deductions, what type of deductions? Somebody asked what are the other deductions. This normally lists all types of deductions, penalties imposed, GST, service tax, if there are any cess, health cess, state cess, etc. You can put all of that here. And then there is this section of work order details. This is mainly for mainly for capital work. You have to put in your work order details here. Unique work ID for IRPSM. If your work is related to IRPSM, that is a capital work, you have to put in the work ID here. For revenue works, it's not really needed. So this is the last part of processing bills at the executive level called on the IPA system. For example, I have a work related to, say, wagon repairs. I'll just these are pink book numbers. This is for 2018-19. This is for umbrella work of 2019-20. I will take the current 2022-23 work related to wagon repair facilities, and the IRPSM code will come here. Here I'll put in the capital allocation, and here I'll populate it with the amount. So I think we have touched the end at 4:30. So if there are any questions, then please feel to ask.
गुड इवनिंग सर.
हेलो
सर, एक जो अभी अर्लियर क्वेश्चन पूछा था सर, कि सर परफॉर्मेंस गारंटी, सपोज कीजिए सर कोई वर्क है मेरा जो अराउंड 3 मंथ का है सर, बट उसका वारंटी 18 मंथ है सर. आफ्टर 3 मंथ वो कंप्लीट हो गया. एक वर्क है सर जो मैंने डिफाइन किया टेंडर डॉक्यूमेंट में कि 4 महीने में कंप्लीट हो जाना चाहिए. इन 4 मंथ इट विल बी कंप्लीटेड सर. बट
ओके,
वो उसका जो वारंटी पीरियड मैंने रखा है सर 18 मंथ, लाइक टू पीएच मैंने उसका वारंटी पीरियड रखा है सर. अब उसमें जो परफॉर्मेंस गारंटी रहेगा सर, सपोज कीजिए सर उस टाइम पे इंस्पेक्शन हुआ, ठीक मिला, बट आफ्टर सम टाइम उसमें कुछ प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट हुआ, क्या उसके लिए पीजी को हम उस 18 पीरियड तक होल्ड कर सकते हैं? क्योंकि कोफमो में जो मशीनरी आता है सर मेरे पास, उसका तो हम आफ्टर उसका वारंटी पीरियड के बाद ही रिलीज करते हैं सर. तो क्या सेम क्लोज इसमें हो सकता है सर?
वो कॉफमो के 80 में डिफाइंड होता है, आप उसको कब रिलीज करेंगे. कॉफमो के मशीनरी normally comes with a warranty period and an option for entering into an AMC.
Okay sir.
So when you enter into the AMC, उसका आप एक सेकंड सिक्योरिटी ले लेते हैं और उसका पहला सिक्योरिटी आप रिलीज कर लेते हैं नॉर्मली.
तो सर इसमें अगर मैं परफॉर्मेंस गारंटी के लिए क्लोज डालता हूं कि सर अगर मैं लिखता हूं उसमें 18 मंथ अपने टेंडर डॉक्यूमेंट में, तो क्या वायलेशन नहीं होगा सर? क्योंकि यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है जो जिस में है कि परफॉर्मेंस गारंटी शैल बी रिलीज्ड आफ्टर कंप्लीशन ऑफ वर्क. तो सर क्या ये दोनों एक दूसरे को?
Normally the security is taken for the tendering period plus 2 months.
Okay sir.
Right. So अगर तो आपका उसके अंदर हो जाता है then it is okay. Otherwise you take approval of competent authorities that we are getting this problem. Last time this contractor did not turn up and we need this extension in the PG period. Whoever is the competent authority, normally it would be the principal chief mechanical engineer.
Okay.
मतलब वो आपको करना पड़ेगा, तो वेरी वेरी डिफिकल्ट थिंग टू गेट इट थ्रू.
ओके
राइट.
एंड सेकंड क्वेश्चन सर, जो सर्विस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट रहते हैं सर, लाइक देयर आर लिमिट्स की 50 लाख से बिलो होगा और 50 लाख से अबो होगा सर. 50 लाख से बिलो में कोई क्रेडेंशियल चाहिए नहीं होते, बट क्या कोई अप्रूवल चाहिए होता है सर उसके लिए किसी भी कंपेटेंट अथॉरिटी का?
किस चीज के लिए?
अगर 50 लाख से नीचे वैल्यू का कोई सर्विस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है सर, तो
हाँ जी.
उसके लिए, क्योंकि यहाँ पे क्वेरी उठा था जब जब मेरे एमएनपी इंचार्ज ने बताया था कि विजिलेंस आया था, तो उन्होंने पूछा था क्वेश्चन कि कंपिटेंट अथॉरिटी का अप्रूवल कहाँ है. तो क्या कोई अप्रूवल, मुझे भी इसका आइडिया बिल्कुल नहीं है सर, कि अगर 50 लाख से नीचे मैंने किया तो उसमें कोई अप्रूवल चाहिए होता है? जैसे 50 लाख से बहुत सिमिलर नेचर का कुछ अप्रूवल चाहिए होता है सर, वो पीसी में सर देते हैं, हेड ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट. तो 50 लाख से
सर्विस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में सबके लिए चाहिए, वर्क कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में जीसीसी वर्क के हिसाब से आपको नहीं चाहिए. आप डाल सकते हैं, बट आप सिमिलर वर्क का जो भी अप्रूवल लेके डालेंगे, दैट हैज टू बी अप्रूव्ड बाय द प्रिंसिपल एचओडी ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट.
बट 50 लाख से नीचे के लिए क्या करेंगे सर? उसके लिए जरूरी है सर
आपको
वो?
जरूरत नहीं है, आप डाल सकते हैं. इट हैज टू बी अप्रूव्ड.
ओके सर.
The approving authority is principal HOD of the department, and work service contract के लिए, even if it is a 5 rupees worth of service contract, you have to take a similar work approval.
Okay sir. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you sir.
Any more questions, please?
Participants, are there any more questions, please? Anyone? Shall we take that as a no? Okay, somebody saying Jitendra, I will share sir's contact details with you or with the group later on. You can always contact me, and I will relay your questions to sir and get the answers back. Don't worry about that. So that is as far as sir's contact details are concerned.
नहीं तो IRCMS पे है, they can arrange it.
That is also true. IRCMS पे है ही. So Jitendra, you must be on IRCMS too.
Yes sir.
चलो. Right, I'll share it. No problem. शाश्वत जिसको चाहिए please दे दीजिएगा. And if there are no further questions, then I'll let them enjoy the second half of the session. बहुत कुछ दे दिया मैंने सोने के लिए. It was a very very boring session, I know.
अरे नहीं. Aditya, I think this is one of the more interesting sessions that we have had the good fortune to have in this particular course, for the simple reason that that you talked about something that nobody has ever talked about before in this course, which is the topic of the proposal and the estimate, as well as the post tender stage of bill passing, measurement book, EPF ESIC, and the processing on IRWCMS and PWMS. So I think that all of and of course next time, of course, I hope that that you can give a little more time next time, Aditya, and we can then talk about things like IPAS and the various penalty clauses as well, that and special conditions of contract maybe. So who knows how much time you'll have next time, but thank you so much for taking some time out of what I know is a very busy schedule for helping us all with these topics so much, and also for answering all our questions, some of which I know would have been questions that you have faced earlier as well. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to all the participants for your interaction today, and for your patient listening as well.